Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, mistress of the macabre. Have you ever gone exploring underground, in the deepest, darkest reaches, where even during the day the sun doesn't shine? I personally love underground exploring. However, that does not mean that exploring underground is the safest thing to do. Today, we will go deep underground to one of the biggest tombs, the Paris Catacombs, where millions call their final resting place. So make sure you brought your flashlight and backup batteries, and let us explore our grotesque curiosity. The Paris Catacombs is an underground ossuary which holds the remains of more than 6 million people, extending south from the Barrière d'Enfer, or Gates of Hell, the former city gate. This ossuary was created as part of an effort to eliminate the city's overflowing cemeteries. The catacombs are a literal maze, with some areas being completely uncharted. What we do know is that there are at least 320 kilometers or 200 miles of tunnels under the city. The depths of the catacombs is equivalent to a 5-story building. These tunnels and chambers are what is left of rock quarries that used to be on the outskirts of the city. Much of the limestone that built the city was extracted from these mines. But as the city grew, it expanded to where the quarries had to be abandoned. It is also very cold and wet in the catacombs. The constant temperature in the catacombs is about 14 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit, and the deepest parts are submerged in waist-deep water. The catacombs of Paris started being used to store the dead around the end of the 18th century. As the cemeteries filled up and had to be moved outside the city, a portion of the tunnels were turned into an ossuary that contains the remains of around 6 million Parisians, who were gradually transferred here between the late 18th and mid-19th centuries. The surface area of the ossuary is 11,000 square meters. Fun fact, the bones were always moved at night to a ceremony made up of a procession of priests who sang along the way to the catacombs. At first, they were deposited in a rather haphazard manner, and the ossuary simply just piled up. Eventually, the bones were organized and displayed in a way that you see them today. A few famous figures' remains are in the catacombs, such as Jean-Paul Marat, one of the French Revolutionary's most radical voices, and Maximilien de Robespierre, an influential figure during both the Revolution and the subsequent Reign of Terror. Even in its early days, the catacombs have been an object of curiosity, even for royalty. In 1787, Lord d'Artois, who became King Charles X, went down there with the ladies from the court. In 1814, Francois I, Emperor of Austria, went to visit and explore the catacombs while he was in Paris. The catacomb walls are also covered in graffiti dating back to the 18th century. Everyone has left their mark on this place. Towards the end of the 18th century, the catacombs became a tourist attraction and have been open to the public on a regular basis from 1867 onwards till today. There is only one legal entrance into the catacombs, but because of the vast expanse of the catacombs, there are many parts of the city with entrances that lead deep into the unknown areas of the catacomb. Due to safety reasons, it has been illegal to go down there using these other entrances since 1955. When police find an entrance, they usually close it off. There is a subgroup of explorers known as cataphiles, who are experienced in knowing about these hidden entrances and exploring the catacombs. However, going down to one of these illegal entrances always runs the risk of police finding the entrance and sealing it shut while you're still exploring down there. However, it is especially dangerous to go down there alone. There have been a few examples as to why someone should never go down there alone for fear of getting lost. The most famous example is of Philibert Aspert. Philibert Aspert was working as a doorkeeper in the Val-de-Grâce military hospital during the French Revolution, when he mysteriously went missing in 1793. It is thought that Aspert went down to the stairs into the catacombs one day, where he lost his light and could not find the way out. He died slowly and alone in complete darkness. It is not known why he went down, but some think it might have to do with him trying to sneak into a basement of a nearby brewery. It is an unfortunate fate, as Aspert was only a few feet from a staircase. Not much was left of Aspert when he was finally found in the tunnel in Gennevilliers, outside of Paris, but the buttons on his jacket and the key ring were enough to identify him. His remains were buried where they were found in a small personal tomb. The stone grave marker roughly translates to, "In memory of Philibert Aspert, lost in this excavation on November 3rd, 1793, found 11 years later and buried in the same place on April 30th, 1804. Today, the room where Asbjørn is buried is a popular meeting place for cataphiles. This well-known example is one reason why people shouldn't go down there alone. But there's also modern examples of people exploring alone or unprepared. In the early 2000s, there was a video that surfaced from the TV show Scariest Places on Earth of an unknown man who went deep into the catacombs by himself. I believe you could still find the video online, but the man starts off his footage by exploring the deepest parts of the catacombs, rooms filled with bones, and he picks up the skull of one of those long dead. Apparently, the rooms that are more filled with bones, like this picture shown here, are part of the deepest areas of the catacombs. At first, the video starts off with some exploring, looking around, looking at rooms filled with bones. However, the video eventually reveals how the unnamed explorer is becoming increasingly disoriented as he moves through the passageways of crumbling stone and human bones, illuminated only by the camera's light. With each new turn of the subterranean labyrinth, it's soon apparent that the man has no idea where he is or how he's going to get back to the surface. He may have become disoriented by the twists and turns of the labyrinth. Suddenly, he gets spooked and drops his camera on the wet catacomb floor, and he takes off running. Nobody knows who he is or what triggered him to drop his only light source and camera. Was it just his imagination playing tricks on him? Or was there another reason for his panic? Supposedly, the footage was found by a cataphile, and the man remains unknown to this day. Can you picture how eerie it would be to be deep down in the catacombs without a light source? Just stumbling around in the dark until you get too weak and die, just like Asbjørn. Or how easy it is to get lost and your only remaining light source flickers on and off, while you, miles away from any exit, become entombed with the millions of other Parisians, a city of the dead. There has been some speculation, though, as to whether this tape is legitimate. There could be a couple of possibilities. The first being that the tape is legitimate, and it really does show the last moments of a man who got lost and died in the tunnels, becoming a resident in the city of the dead. Or it could have been fake found footage. The identity of the man is supposedly still unknown. It just seems convenient that a cataphile also happened to stumble across the footage in the first place, because supposedly the unknown man was extremely deep in the catacomb. Whatever the truth is, it's been around 20 years, so perhaps it was legitimately his lost soul claimed by the catacombs, another pile of bones to add to the ossuary. And getting lost in the catacombs isn't even something that is super uncommon. Recently, in 2017, 2 teenage boys had to be rescued from the catacombs. They went missing for 3 days before they were found and suffered from hypothermia. The police had to use tracker dogs just to be able to figure out where they were. And from what I could find, it wasn't even certain how people knew that they were in the tunnels to begin with. Perhaps it was a friend who sounded the alarm that they were missing and knew that they went down there. All we know is that they were lost for 3 days in total darkness, and had it not been for the dogs, they wouldn't have made it out alive and joined Philibert Asbjørn and the other unknown man as residents in the city of the dead. Well, that was truly a grotesque tale. What is certain is that the catacombs are still a deadly destination, and not something that someone unprepared or going alone should attempt. It was confirmed to have claimed at least 1 life. It just goes to show that it is one of those places where if you go in, you might not come back out. May all those in the underworld of Paris rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, like, and share if you would like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.